Enigmasaurus. Enigmasaurus, meaning enigma lizard or enigmatic lizard, is a genus of therizinosauroid that lived in Asia during the Late Cretaceous period. It was a medium-sized, ground-dwelling, bipedal herbivore that represents the third therizinosaur taxon from the Bayan Shireh Formation, although it is known from the lower part. The genus is monotypic, including only the type species E. mongoliensis, known from a well-preserved pelvis and other tentative body remains. Discovery and naming. The holotype, IGM 184, was discovered at the Anatomical locality in the Bayan Shireh Formation, sometimes called Bayan Shireh Formation or the Bayan Shireh, southeastern Mongolia, dating from the Late Cretaceous period, and first reported in 1979 on a pelvic comparison with other theropod dinosaurs. At the time, little was known about therizinosaurs. In 1980, it was mentioned again, this time in the new infraorder created by the Mongolian paleontologists Rinchen Barsbold and Altangerl Perel, Segnosauria. Nicknamed as the dinosaur from Karakotol, it was shortly described and included into the Segnosauria. 3 years later, the type species, Enigmasaurus mongoliensis, was named and described in 1983 by Barsbold. The preserved elements consist of a partial skeleton, lacking the skull, that includes a well-preserved pelvic girdle with other postcrania. The generic name, Enigmasaurus, was stated to be derived from Greek alpha nu iota gamma mu alpha, enigma, meaning enigma, and sigma alpha rho omicron sigma, sauros, meaning lizard, in reference to the aberratic and unusual shape of its pelvis. The specific name, mongoliensis, refers to the country of its discovery, Mongolia. Some therizinosaur fossil findings at the Enigmasaurus Formation were first thought to be referable to Enigmasaurus. Although it is commonly known from the pelvis, several remains not mentioned in the original description of the holotype were labeled under the same specimen number, IGM 184. These elements are in poor condition compared to the pelvis, and they were not measured and illustrated. Proximal end of a femur, large femoral shaft, might be a tibial shaft, some ribs, distal end of a humerus, a tentative radius and the proximal end of an ulna. The femur, however, was not found in association with the holotype individual, therefore it should be assigned to Therizinosauria and Certicetus. The other remains might pertain to the holotype. A very large left femur, measuring 105 cm, 1050 mm, long, was labeled with the same specimen number 2, however, it was not associated with the holotype due to its large size, larger than the pelvis itself. Nevertheless, it seems to approach the size of the closer Segnosaurus. Possible synonymy with Erlikosaurus. Some paleontologists propose that Enigmasaurus was likely the same animal as Erlikosaurus, since both were found in the same geologic formation. Enigmasaurus is known from pelvic remains, whereas the pelvis of Erlikosaurus is unknown and distinguishing traits between them were absent. If proven, this would make Enigmasaurus a junior synonym of Erlikosaurus. However, the Enigmasaurus pelvis doesn't resemble that of Segnosaurus as would be expected for the connection with Erlikosaurus, and there is a huge size difference. In addition, both genera are known from different strata, lower and upper, and they are considered to be distinct animals by most authors. Description: Enigmasaurus was a relatively large-bodied therizinosaur, with an estimated length of 5 meters, 16 feet, and a weight between 454 to 907 kilograms, 1,001 to 2,000 pounds. As noted by Barsbold in the original description of Enigmasaurus, it can recognized by the following characteristics: the pubis and ischium are short, elongated margin in the anterior presymphysial region of the distal pubis. However, in the revised diagnosis by Zano et al. 2010, there are even more specific traits for Enigmasaurus that were not pointed out/analyzed before: prominent cranial and caudal processes on the dorso-ventrally somewhat flattened pubic boot, the pubic feet are fused, being medially elongated, a medial expansion forms a V-shaped structure, the medial fusion of the obturator process and pubic body, forms a tetraradiate process. The holotype pelvis is in relatively good preservation, comprising the sacral vertebrae, partial ilium, right and left pubis and the left ischium. The pelvis is somewhat large as a whole and episopubic. The ilium is widely positioned and turned externally. It preserves a large cubic process in the posterodorsal area. Elongated pubic peduncles are present in the ilium, the ischial peduncles are more reduced though. The distal end of the pubis is elongated, recurved and stocky. The ischium is slightly shorter than the pubis and parallel to it, with a narrow shaft. The obturator process on the front edge of the ischium is horizontally elongated and low. Open edges are appreciable on the large trochanteric fossa. Apparently, the sacrum preserves 6 vertebrae, with elongated transverse processes. For instance, its pelvis is very particular compared to other therizinosaur relatives, featuring areas of bone resorption and bone remodeling on the ilium. These specific traits may indicate the advanced age of the individual. If true, the fusion of the obturator process and pubic body could be discarded as an authentic autapomorphy for the species. Zano noted that more analyses are required to settle this enigma. Classification. Enigmasaurus was by the describers assigned to a separate Enigmasauridae, now obsolete, due to its aberrant pelvis, but later considered a member of the Segnosauridae, which are today called the therizinosauridae. Lindsay Zano in 2010 recovered a position more basal in the therizinosauroidea. Below are the results of the recently performed phylogenetic analysis of the therizinosaur by Hartman et al. 2019, in which Enigmasaurus is recovered as a derived therizinosauroid. Paleoecology. The remains of Enigmasaurus were found in sediments that were deposited during the Late Cretaceous period on the Bayan Shireh Formation, Krakatoa locality, about 95.9 plus or minus 6.0 million to 89.6 plus or minus 4.0 million years ago, Cenomanian Santonian ages. Being a therizinosaur, it was likely a slow herbivore and/or omnivore, as suggested by most authors all over the time. The biodiversity across the formation was characterized by therizinosaurs, as seen on the remains of Enigmasaurus, Erlikosaurus, and Segnosaurus. The holotype location, Krakatoa, has also yielded the contemporary Segnosaurus and an unnamed Velociraptorine. Most of the remaining paleofauna from this formation is known from upper strata, whereas Enigmasaurus is known from lower strata. At the locality, diverse paleoflora has been discovered, such as Cornacei reported with Bothrocarum gobiense and Nizoidium mongolica as fine representatives. Numerous fossil fruits findings at the locality reflect the large presence of angiosperm plants on the formation. The unearthed fruits bear some resemblance with Abelmoschus esculentus, however, definitive taxonomic affinities are quite unclear.